weeks ago, these were just tiny seeds buried beneath the soil. Now they're beginning to show their true potential. Some are putting out their first real spines, others are growing faster than expected, and a few are already showing signs of trouble. Week 4 is a major turning point in cactus seedling development, and today we're taking a close look at who's thriving, who's struggling, and what's next on the journey to growing incredible specimen cacti. So in a side-by-side comparison, week 3 to week 4, not a huge difference in overall growth since last week. These are slow-growing cacti, so I don't expect them to explode, from one week to the next. I've noticed some small spines starting to emerge, which is good. Also, since last week, we've kind of changed our setup, so we are starting to acclimate these to the air full time. That was part of combating the mold and fungus that I was dealing with, especially the damping off. We'll get more into that a little bit later. As far as overall germination rates, I think we did pretty good. It seemed like most of these seeds had germinated, but we did lose some to damping off and like I said, the mold and fungus. Not a lot, but overall, as far as germination, we did pretty good. Uh, One thing that I do notice is it seems like the variegated species is kind of, I don't know if it was they struggled, or if less of them did germinate, but it seems like we have less of the variegated than anything else. So as we look at a close up here, we can review kind of like the growth and development over the last week. We're looking at slightly larger bodies, more defined ribs. It looks like their first true spines are emerging. As far as color changes, I've noticed them kind of darkening. I think that's due to me starting to acclimate them to air full time. A lot of them seem to start to darken, which, from what I looked up, is a good sign. Um, the growth is compact. No, they're not stretching too much. I've actually, again, we'll discuss what the setup has changed, but um, not only have we took the domes off full time, we have them closer to a south facing window with heavy shade, um, to get a little bit more light. And also, as far as like root establishment, I've noticed that they seem like they're anchored a lot better. Also, we're no longer top watering, so everything we're doing bottom waterings going forward, and that's going to help the roots continue to stretch down because they're going to keep searching for that water. Okay, so I figured 1 month is as good a time as any to do a little species spotlight. So we're going to go over each species and just highlight them and talk about each one. So far, these ones directly right in front of you are the Echinocerius nipilanus. These are the variegated. These are the ones I was talking about had a low germination rate. I also did lose a few through dampening off, but I am kind of excited to see how these turn out. Okay, and these next ones in front of you, these are the Gymnocalycium frederici variegatas. Pretty excited about these as well. They seem to be very slow growing. They're just remaining to be these tiny little balls. Hopefully they start to grow. These right here are the Gymnocalycium damsi cristatums. They look very similar to the other Gymnocalyciums that we saw previously. These right here are the Cactus multicostasis. Right here we have the Echinocerius rigidissimus rubus spinus. I like the way these are turning out so far. Starting to get a lot of little spines on these. These right here are the Astrophytum myrostigma CV Kikos. Pretty excited about these ones. Look like we got a really high germination rate on these ones overall. Right here we got the Mammillaria magnamamas. Right here we've got the Gymnocalycium frederici purple mutants. Seems like we got pretty good germination rates on these. I haven't noticed any purpling yet, but their colors have been getting a lot darker, so we'll see how they continue to progress. And then we've got everybody's favorite, the Turbinocarpus schmiedecanus. These are growing pretty good too. I'm excited about these. doing a health check. Overall, I like what I'm seeing here. We got a lot of healthy green color. The bodies are nice and firm. There's no stretching. We're not seeing any red or purple stress. No yellowing, no rot, no damping off since the changes that we've made. We're going to get into that next, but since I have made the updates to the overall setup, I haven't had a single seedling damp off. We're going to get into the environment update next. Um, and there's no seedlings falling over. Like I said, the roots are starting to anchor. Nothing's really falling over anymore. All right, so for an environment update, as we discussed last week, the main things I was concerned about was the damping off and the continual growth of like fungus and mold. I had tried the hydrogen peroxide several times; it wasn't working. So what I decided to do was get these things fully acclimated to as much air as possible as soon as possible. So as of last week, I did start to remove the dome steadily. At first, I had them completely open at the top, and then I started to prop them open for a few hours a day. Um, and then I started to just take them out and leave them out for like 1, 2, 3 hours a day. Um, I was still getting damping off up until a few days ago. I know I'm late on this video, but over the last, I'd say 3 days, I've had them completely out. They're currently on a little wire rack that I have. I'll show a video of that. I took the LEDs from the dome and I just attached them to this. And then I've also have it facing a south facing window with a lot of shade. I have a par meter, so I make sure that they're getting enough light. And like I said, we're not seeing any signs of stress, so we know they're not getting too much light. Um, since then, like I said, we've had no damping off, no fungus, no mold. We do now have to water them more often, and that's where we're going to have to, monitor and obviously do our moisture check. Um, temperature, it's just indoor temperature, humidity here in Southern California. Inside, it's probably, I don't know, 45 to 50%. Um, so it's nice. They're still getting enough humidity at night. The light height, I still have it. It's probably directly above them. It's maybe like 4 inches above them. Not too bad. We ditched the heat mat altogether. We don't need that anymore. When it comes to airflow, like I said, they're just out. They steadily get air from, the air moving around this environment, um, and the humidity dome is gone altogether. We'll go ahead and do a quick moisture check, and I expect them to be pretty dry. Yeah, soil's getting dried enough. You can also tell by the top level starting to get really light. Now, when discussing mold, algae, and fungus, like I said, we don't have those issues. Since I've taken the domes off completely and I've had them acclimated, I haven't seen one single cacti get the dampening off. I haven't seen any more mushrooms, and I haven't seen any white fuzzy mold. So that pretty much solved the problem altogether. Our plans for week 5 and going forward, we're just going to continue to monitor them. I think we're going to need to water them maybe once a week. We'll have to see how quickly the soil dries out, but it's been about a week since I've watered them, and I know they need to be watered. So right now we're gonna check them at least once a week, maybe twice a week, just to make sure, and definitely monitoring the top level soil. That's the way to do it by a glance. We're going to continue to let them harden by being out and getting full air. They're just going to be fully acclimated from here on out. The plan is probably to keep them inside through winter, and then starting next spring, I'll probably start to slowly get them outside in a heavily shaded area and individually pot them, and that'll be a video of its own. Hopefully, you guys can be there. We're going to continue to watch for stronger spine development, and like I said, prepare for eventual transplanting. Still months away. Every week, these tiny seedlings become a little stronger, a little tougher, and a little closer to becoming mature cacti. It's amazing to think that years from now, these same seedlings could become centerpiece specimens in a collection. Thanks for following along in this journey. I'll continue to document every stage so we can learn together from both the successes and the setbacks. I'll see you all in week 5. Grow, collect, cultivate.